Welcome to the ITM Podcast.
You have a microphone. That's good.
Yeah, I brought it this time. I've done this before. I've done a show from Disney World when the Red Sox lost a star third baseman before. This is episode 337 of the ITM podcast, formerly the official podcast of the Boston Red Sox a long fucking time ago. And the Boston Red Sox have lost out on Alex Bregman and have lost any and all good faith that they had built up with their fan base over the past year. Alex Bregman is a Chicago Cub. And wouldn't you know it, it's because the Red Sox organization believed they could short the market and come out on top. I have no idea where to even start. I've been a jumbled mess. I'm sure you've been a jumbled mess. I'm Joey Copponi. That's Scott Neville, by the way. So before we get into the minutia of what happened here and really break down this comedy of errors, let's start with the big picture. For years now, the narrative from this team, from the front office, from ownership, has been the exact same. It has been, wait, the kids are coming. We got a big trio of prospects, and you guys are gonna love them. The days of championship caliber baseball are right around the corner, and it's riding on the shoulders of these children. And last year, the time finally came. Christian Campbell was on the opening day roster. Marcelo Meyer came up, followed by Roman Anthony, who almost won Rookie of the Year after being called up in June. Go time. So with that being where the organization sits in its timeline, the next logical thought would be that the time is here to firmly establish the rest of that core, the veteran leadership, the pieces that you put onto your club to put you over the top for the next handful of years to return to winning worthwhile baseball going onto the field. And they had a core piece here. They had that veteran. They had a guy with World Series experience, and he is now in Chicago. And there's a ton of factors that led to getting here. But one of the biggest is, I think the two biggest are, the Red Sox were unwilling to open their pockets as much as the market demanded. And probably the bigger one, that they were unwilling to attach a no-trade clause, which we will get into in a lot of detail. A trade clause that Alex Bregman apparently really wanted for a myriad of reasons, but especially wanted from the team that he just saw trade the face of their franchise the year prior. And so, yeah, they have reset all the bad faith that they've had with their fans, the bad faith that they have as an organization with players and agents in an offseason that should have been massively important in building a championship core. How you doing, Scott?
I don't even know what to say. I feel like last show you were pessimistic, and I was trying to be like, dude, like, it's not that bad. Like, Bregman's still out there. They still can make moves. I had this, I guess, false optimism. I believed it at the time, obviously. But yeah, it does just suck when we do what we do, and there is these waves of where you feel like it could be like it used to be, and then every time you start to believe that it finally could be the way it used to be, they do some stupid shit that says that John Henry doesn't care about this team, and that they might have the wrong person in charge of this team, and that they have to do. It's never about, the big picture. It is typically, it feels like, it's the position change for Devers. It's not including a no trade clause. It's including too much deferral money, which is like, what, I mean, really, like, is it that going to make that much of a difference for this team? And so, yeah, it's, I don't know, beyond frustrating. There's really no route to feeling good about this team. We'll talk about a lot of stuff. I don't want Bo Bichette. I don't know what else you do. I just don't want him.
Let me say this too, just to get my most negative take on all of this out of the way early. because I'm sure a time will come as we talk through this. Maybe we start to feel a little better and, have our sights set somewhere else and I don't know, have something positive to say at some point in the show. So while we are bathing in the pessimism, let me get this out of the way. At a certain point, it's not just some mismanagement. It's not just a tough stretch for the Sox. It's not a bad couple of years. And it starts to really look like just the way things are. And at a certain point, a trend becomes your identity. And it seems like they're okay with this being their identity. They're a team who's afraid to pay players with a GM that no one likes or wants to work with, that trades its stars and lets its leaders walk in free agency, and they don't seem too interested in changing that identity. It's been 5 years. I mean, I guess if you want to go, was Mookie technically 19? I think it was January of 20 that they technically moved. So it's been this entire decade. We're into 2026. So it's more than half a decade now of this being who they are. And for a minute there, it looked like tides were changing. And I think the difference is, this is a bummer. I think the difference is they're trying to change. And this is them trying. And that's alarming. When they weren't trying and they were sucking, that's one thing. But I legitimately think they made the transition from Heim to Craig and invested financially a little bit more because they were ready to try a little bit more, to pony up a little bit, to pay some luxury tax. And this, unfortunately, I think is them trying. Which is terrible.
Yeah, hard to disagree. I see exactly what you're talking about, and I think that this started a year ago with Craig Breslow truly believing he could sign, Alex Bregman, figure out the Devers stuff. Just, he would just get over it. Get Bregman to third base. You have both stars, and now you combine that with the young core. You've already got Crochet, and now you really got something. But he made so many mistakes along that path that now you have neither one of them. And the options now that people are going to pivot to, the crowd that's like, he got overpaid anyway, we can still whatever. I don't know. Like, I don't think there really is a... Yeah. And honestly, if they do, go reallocate that money in a Bichette, then you could have had him in Devers.
100%. Yeah. You can play that game any which way here. You can, as far back as you want to go. You could say, well, Mookie could be, you can do that too if you really want to get crazy with it. But the Devers and Bregman are absolutely fair game here to be like, well, whoever you add, you had the space to do this on top of X, Y, or Z. Devers was here. He wasn't going anywhere. And to trade him, to put a guy at his position that you have on essentially a 1-year deal that you're then unwilling to go to bat for when pay-up time comes is fucking stupid. It's bad business. Like, forget baseball. That's just dumb. That's dumb business. Like, why operate without a safety net and then act like you do have a safety net? That's what really pisses me off the more that we learn about the negotiations, that they were acting like they had the leverage, like they had some sort of control, and were so goddamn confident in themselves. Scott, I'm going to pat myself on the back here really quick. This is, please try to take some credit away from me, but it's not going to happen. Last week, we talked about Jen McCaffrey's report where the Red Sox felt confident about their offer. And I felt like an asshole being like, dude, I kind of read that like the Red Sox feel really good about it, but not that Boris's camp does. And that's exactly what happened. That was exactly the case. The Red Sox put a deal on the table and were like, yeah, beat that. There you go. Huh. And Boris's camp was straight up, if we're going to believe AJ Pierzynski, which I'm gonna, do you mind pulling up the actual quote? Because I don't have it in front of me.
So I have a bullet list because he talked for like a minute and a half, but that is one of the things I have is I threw it in the let's talk about it notes, but I have a list of Przinski's read on exactly what happened. If you want me to just do that now, or if you want to keep rambling, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
Kind of
Let me
here.
just put a little bit of a bow on this so we can kind of go into more Przinski stuff. But it just sounds like they acted with such arrogance, like they knew better, and they didn't trust the Boris camp. They didn't trust Bregman's camp, and they just thought they knew better. And Gordo put it great on Twitter that they were executing Plan A with the confidence of somebody who has a really strong Plan B, and they have no Plan B. But please tell me, give us the notes on what Przinski said.
Yeah, so the bullet points I wrote down from Przinski were basically this started with the Red Sox made an offer to Bregman early in the offseason. Bregman's side said that his market is higher than that. So they didn't like the first offer. That's, we can do better. That made Bregman a little bit mad in Przinski's terms, and Boston did not budge at that point. And then Boris came back and said, we have a higher offer. And the Red Sox, according to Przinski, did not believe him, which is pretty insane. Then Boris says, we're going to sign with another team, and we're at the point where we're not even going to tell you what the number is. Like, we're not going to say, hey, beat this number. We're just saying, hey, we have a better offer. It's from another team. This is where we're at. That's when Boston offered the reported 5-year 165 with immense deferrals and a no trade clause, which not only was a worse offer, but it was already at the point where Bregman was pissed off, and this is done. You've already, like you mentioned, fractured the relationship by waiting too long, and you mentioned that last show. And I think the other thing that, when you read these bullet points, it does make you think about little things that I always think are dumb in the moment, like Bregman changing his profile picture from him being in a Red Sox uniform to being just in a workout fit. And that's probably the early side of the offseason, and it's just, I don't know. Of course that's how that happened.
Yeah. Not to throw a stray at AJ Przinski for no reason at all, but that is the kind of report and caliber of reporter where you should 99.9% of the time approach these reports with a bunch of skepticism. Mm-hmm. Like in any other scenario, basically, you should approach this with a lot of skepticism. Like, where is he getting that? If only he's saying it versus... But the Red Sox give you no choice but to believe him wholeheartedly here, because it sure sounds exactly fucking like them. Like, if someone tells you they heard a duck quack, your response should be, oh, yeah, that sounds like something a duck would do. Oh, the Red Sox were unwilling to budge, completely misread the market, got stubborn, and played too cocky with nothing to back it up. Yeah, that sounds right. I believe you. There's
and then last second, they got desperate, and they made their desperate offer, and it still sucked.
Mm-hmm. And they thought they put their fucking nuts on the table, too. They thought they did something there. That's what the kids would say. They thought they did something. And, oh, my God, they didn't. They didn't do nothing. It's just so embarrassing. It's so insanely embarrassing. They should be embarrassed. Craig, listen, if you need a guy to make a trade with the Cardinals, my God, I got the guy for you. His name's Craig, and you're not gonna love him, but you can tolerate him. You don't want to hear him talk a bunch, but you'll be
like, this trade's all right.
Yeah. Do you remember in I believe it was the Crochet trade, that there was talk about how much Theo helped get that done?
That whole offseason, there was, I remember that. I remember the Bregman thing, the hey, we're actually gonna. Well, I think you give Theo credit for trying, the Red Sox trying, convincing John Henry to actually spend and to invest into, go into a sense of urgency. I think Craig wanted to do that. I think he needed Theo's help to say, hey, can you just talk to him and say, Like, I just got here. He doesn't care what I think. He put me in charge of this entire operation, but he doesn't care what I think.
Maybe it was the crochet extension then, where Theo was getting a lot of the credit. Because, like, I can't think of a move of any value that goes solely on the shoulders of Craig Breslow. And I mean, this is insane. To look back a year ago right now, where we were like, man, is Bregman going to play third, or is Rafael Devers going to play third? And a year later, they're both gone because of Craig Breslow in one way or another. You know, like,
I think,
sure, if I understand it's not his money, so like we can play that free agent game and be like, well, John Henry isn't willing to blah, 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 then blah, blah, blah. Okay, but it's also the GM's job to say, hey, John, we're $10 million off or whatever, or including the no trade clause. John Henry doesn't need to sign off on the no trade clause. That, I guess, in some situations he probably would want to, but those kind of situations fall on you as a negotiator, you as a businessman. That's your job. So you didn't get it done. I don't like this blame game of, well, you can put this a little bit on this guy and this a little bit on this guy. You were put to be the general manager of the team, the chairman of baseball. What is it? The chief baseball officer. You're the chief officer of baseball.
You're Mr. Baseball, dude.
He's the baseball guy, and he didn't get the baseball player.
I think the thing is with Craig is I think he has a lot of strengths in terms of evaluating talent, and he's made some deals that I think, you look at the top of his deals, he's done a really good job. But he's made so many mistakes that are just like you can't come back from. And it's a lot of him being like, yeah, he's said twice now. First it was with Devers, and since it was this, he talked about it with Matt's Live did like an email interview Cotillo posted, and he keeps saying things like, well, yes, like we lost Devers, and I think I learned a lot about being a chief baseball officer, GM, whatever. And he said the same thing with this Bregman deal. And it's like, dude, we are not here for your personal development. You came in as I'm the former player, so I get both. Like, yes, I'm the Yale nerd, but I also played baseball. I was in those locker rooms. I know what I'm like. I had to deal with these players because I am a player. And then immediately stepped in and pissed off the most important person in the franchise. And now you're making blunders where you misread negotiations and pissed off Bregman, and then now he's gone, and that was supposed to be the guy that you brought in, and now it's like you're not good at what you think you're good at, which is pretty insane. There is some talent for evaluating pitching. There's some, last year he brought in Crochet, Bregman, Chapman, all stars. So like, it's not that he's incompetent overall, but he certainly needs to look himself in the mirror and say, hey, I kind of suck at these things. And at what point are the Red Sox just going to be like, no, we're just going to keep letting him grow. We've lost two franchise caliber players, but he's growing.
I don't know if I can say that like it takes a real special eye to say that he evaluated Garrett Crochet as a good pitcher or evaluated Aroldis Chapman as good or Alex Bregman. Like, and also that's not the job of a GM. Like, you have people for that too. So like, that's not even the job. I know it's this is absolutely should be a Breslow bashing pod, and I don't disagree, but I think what they did with Chapman, you can't ignore. The fact that they extended him for the price point they did after looking at some of the relief pitching prices right now. He had a masterclass on Chapman. Crochet, he got a trade done that I think will age very, very well, and he got an extension done. And like, that's what you have to do because we'd be talking about losing Crochet right now if not for the extension. That's a big piece you can't just ignore. And it was a really good price. I'm just saying there were good things that he's done. If you look at some of the he's done a lot to get us to the point where we are talking about we were on the playoffs last year, and we should be now, we're at a point where we enter the offseason with the right moves, we could be a projected first place team in the division. He also unraveled it all. Yeah, 100%. and unraveled the good faith that he had established. That's like the biggest takeaway for me is that like every Red Sox fan who thought that like the dark days were behind us probably feels a sense of anxiety when seeing that news drop and said, "Oh fuck, do we suck again? Was that a flash in the pan?
Also,
are we back to fighting for 500?"
One quick thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how like bigger picture organization. This isn't something that I ever had to worry about growing up. You never had to worry about growing up. I don't know how you could confidently buy a single player's Red Sox jersey.
No.
Like, how do you feel good? Like, immediately, I saw it all over where it was just like, how long is Roman here, do we think? Where it's like, yeah, they probably. And now it's not even like about can you get a deal done? Because like with Devers, they got the deal done. They pissed him off to the point where they had to force him out. Now, I don't think Roman Anthony's demeanor is the same as Devers, but will the organization do some stuff that'll piss him off could they ruin it? Absolutely. Could they make 100%. A stupid mistake and trade him? Absolutely. Could they, say, oh, we're going to maximize their value because we don't want to pay him the second big contract? I don't know. It's hard to be like everything in your, everything about the sport, you would say there's no way that big market team like Boston would let a player like Roman Anthony go, but then you look at the last 6 years.
That's like the more likely option. Like you don't sound crazy.
No.
Before, like after Mookie, when people started talking like that, it sounded crazy. It was like, okay, come on. Like, this Boston talk radio bullshit that people like just started spouting in their living rooms. It was like, calm down. Then, take a breather.
Yeah.
Now it's more likely. If you have a star player on the Boston Red Sox, the likely option is that they go elsewhere. You mentioned the Chris Cotillo thing. You said this was over email, this interview. I just have the quote up here.
Yeah, if it's the one I need to hear the quote, but yes, he did basically send a bunch of questions to Breslow and then got those answers.
Knowing this is over email is somehow worse. I mean, it still reads exactly like him. It's just weird that he would type this out. This is just strange. On Breslow's end, not on Cotillo. So Cotillo asked, quote, knowing now that you won't have Bregman past the 1 year, do you view the chain of events around Rafael Devers and the eventual trade that sent him to the Giants differently? What would your reaction be if someone told you in February that neither Bregman nor Devers would be on the roster in 11 months? And Breslow said, quote, rather than spend a ton of time on the particulars of these cases, what is most important is 1, how we respond to improve our roster in the near term, and 2, how I can learn from the experiences and allow that to inform how I approach the role going forward. Neither outcome we face right now is ideal, but both will be evaluated over a longer time horizon. Which, the wording of that pisses me off so much.
That's what I was saying about the personal development. Like, you shouldn't need to get hit by a car to then learn you got to look left and right before crossing the road. Like, why does he have to lose a superstar to learn each lesson? Like, can we just figure it the fuck out ahead of time?
The balloons is crazy there. Go subscribe on the YouTube. To lose 2 superstars. And the thing is, too, it's not like, this pedestrian had to get hit by a car to learn not to look both ways. It's the fucking crossing guard. Like, you're the guy. Yeah. Your job is to be the cross the road guy. And you had to get hit by a couple of cars to be like, hey, listen, this is all going to help me be better at the job. I don't want to focus on, like, do I wish that I didn't get hit by the Suburban? Looking back, would I have maybe looked both ways? All that matters now is that this is going to make me a better crossing guard. I think you're just a guy who, like, blatantly steps into traffic, dude. I think you're just not really meant to be a crossing guard. I think you're really, really good at, like, being a mechanic. You were a good driver back in the day. You were an okay driver. You're a serviceable driver back in the day. You need to get somewhere you drove. But now you're a mechanic. You're not a crossing guard. I don't know. Hate him. The specifics of the deal at first, when I think it was McAdam dropped, like, it was like 2 or 3 million AAV and the no trade clause. That was the difference. And that was still kind of hard to wrap my head around because it was like, okay, like, Bregman by all accounts, liked it here, except for that one time at the Sam Adams Brewery. And
he had a fine time.
And
his
in
drive
my
home
mind,
might have been tough.
It was probably really bad. And I was like, if they were that close, I would imagine, like, let's say you're Alex Bregman. There are 2 deals on the table. One's a place you're familiar. You made friends on the team. You liked it there.
Mhm.
Your family liked living there. The other one is a brand new place. You don't really know the guys. You don't know the team. You don't really know the future of the club. You've never been to that. You've never lived in that city. And it's the deal is that close, 2 or 3 million AAV and a no trade clause. In my mind, I was like, well, why didn't they further negotiate and like really let Boston know, look, the other deal that we have has a no trade. And we're willing to forego the AAV if we can secure that no trade, maybe get some upfront in the signing bonus, relook at these deferrals. We have a done deal. That's how close we are. And I think in my mind, I was like, well, that sounds like exactly what Alex would want to do. So why didn't he do that? The Brzezinski thing really is the missing puzzle piece. But once you get that and once you fill that in, you're like, oh, they were so unwilling to budge for so long that he got to a point where he didn't want to negotiate with them. And he wasn't like, okay, well, I will take less or a matching offer to go back to Boston. That way of thinking had evaporated by that point, and I don't blame him for that.
Yeah.
And it sucks that when you're looking at the black and white of the deal, it is close. And the thing that made the gap more sizable is the organization. Like the team made their money harder to take. And that's insane. You're making players not want to be on your team. That's kind of the opposite of the gig. And I'm not saying that just Craig. That's a whole front office issue there to not budge. I don't understand. I understand it if it's a free agent that you don't love, would be nice to add, but isn't integral. This was supposed to be a core guy of your team and a guy that all of the young guys told you over and over again how important he was and how integral he was to their development.
By the way, no trade clauses are incredibly fake.
Yeah. You find ways around it.
You know who had no trade clauses? Sonny Gray and Wilson Contreras had no trade clauses. Like, you give them $1 million and they say, all right, fine. That is not a sticking point that needs to be made, especially in this situation. If there was for some reason a scenario where you're talking about like a draft pick with a no trade clause, where that last year of like eligibility before they become a free agent, and between year 5 and 6, and it's like, all right, we could maybe want to trade this 27-year-old if it's not in the right spot. They're on the last year, maybe. But again, if you give the guy a little bit of money, they almost always just say, all right. And Bregman doesn't seem like the type of guy where if you try and say, hey, we want to trade you, he would still want to be there. That's a guy with a chip on his shoulder.
What does it say about the team that they didn't want to give it? How about that too? Just like straight up, I don't know why that hasn't crossed my mind.
Yeah.
What does it say about the team that they were like, no, man, we'll probably trade you at some point. Don't get us wrong. Listen,
you're signing a core player.
We're not going to give you all of the money, but we'll give you some of it, and then the Dodgers will give you the rest in 2030.
Yeah, we're investing into a 5-year deal, but before you sign that, we're already thinking about how can we get out of this. And it's again, like you said, it's a player that's been here. A lot of the red flags you would have surrounding that circumstance, you have questions until you've had the player for a year. There are so many questions. Like regardless of what their resume is, if they've never gotten in trouble before, whatever. There's all these things. You've seen him here. It's as safe of a bet as you're gonna get. So the fact that they're already like, well, we don't want to fully dive into this deal,
which I will say too, they're not going to get Bo Bichette. It's not going to happen. But if they did, if tomorrow you get a breaking Red Sox sign Bo Bichette to an 8-year, $280 million contract, in my head, I'm like, well, what is he here for? 3 of them, 4 of them? Like, and that's crazy. And I understand that sounds stupid. And that's a take I'm tired of hearing. And now it's coming out of my mouth. but that's where it is. It got to a point where that does have to be said. I couldn't be that excited about. I would be excited about the next couple of years and think, okay, maybe they have a better shot than I thought. It's going to be a tight AL East, but like maybe I like their chances more with Bo Bichette than without. But I would absolutely not believe that he's part of the core, no matter who they sign to a long-term deal. You can't get comfortable. You have no idea who the team is. The team's identity is not their players, which is terrible. Like, you want your team's identity to be 2 to 3 faces that you put on the posters and on the opening day program. And I think the identity of the Red Sox right now is John Henry and Craig Breslow, and not for a good reason. And it's really, I don't know, it becomes harder to root for a team that doesn't have just a core identity and whose future and present is so unknown. The best part of the Boston Red Sox is Fenway Park. That's my favorite character in this story. And man, I don't know. This has broken my spirit a little bit, and we waited to record because, wouldn't you know it, this perfectly coincided with my flight to Florida once again. Rafael Devers got traded while I was on a plane to Florida, and the Bregman news broke at 10:30. I had a flight at 7 a.m. So I was like climbing into bed and got this news, and I thought, you know what? We'll wait on it. I'll go to Disney World for a day, clear my head, get in a better mood. I'm not even kind of feel the same. Maybe worse.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. Would you please stop going to Disney?
At a certain point, man, a trend becomes your identity. And if this is going to keep happening, I got to change something. But you know what? I'm going to learn from this, and it's going to make me better in the future.
Is this something that you would forego your son's ability to have fun at a place like Disney in exchange for this? Because I think he is as big of a Red Sox fan as us. So it is something where I think if you were to, I'm just thinking if I was, how old is he?
5.
5?
Mm.
Do you want me to cut that? Was that too much information that you need me to cut that? Would would that be too much?
I want the people to know he's 5.
Okay, because there was one time where I asked a question that felt like that level, and they made me cut it because I made it sound like I gave them their route to school.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I think he would. If you asked me at 5, maybe 7. I don't know if I knew really at 5, but he's been locked in earlier than I was. If at 7 years old, they said you can go to Disney, but you're gonna lose David Ortiz, I'd be like, oh, I don't need to go that bad.
I can start threatening him with that kind of stuff. Yeah, I haven't even told him.
I'll take you to Disney right this second, and you'll never see Roman Anthony again.
I can start doing that. Yeah, maybe that. Yeah, because we gotta find a way to stay home, or maybe just stay here.
Does he know Bregman?
Yeah.
Like, does he know about? Have you told him yet?
No. Because the last time we got here, I told him Devers was traded the day we got here, and I felt guilty about it because he brought it up a few times. So
do you think there's no point in doing it in this scenario. There's no more games right now. But do you think because he is 5, you could just get to opening day and he maybe just wouldn't be like, where's Bregman? Or do you think he'll immediately be like, where's Bregman?
I think
he would notice.
I think it would be more likely than not that he would notice. Yeah. There's a couple of guys. He won't notice that Rob Refsnyder's gone. But if he watches a game, he would probably be like, when's Breggy up? And yeah. Like there's a handful of guys. It's like Breggy, Story, Roman, Rafaela, for whatever reason. He likes Seti.
Okay.
Yeah. But, so yeah, he's on the short list of guys that he would notice are gone.
I do like that we have a child correspondent for the show to get just a feel for when these, because this happens every 6 months, and it's good to know where is the kid fan at in this, and maybe he's a little young. Like I think it would be, I'd like to know, like if this heartbreak happened at 7 or 8, I think it would be a very different story. But
don't worry, there'll be more.
We'll know about it. Yeah, we'll just have to keep going.
It'll happen. I'll let you know in 2 years when that heartbreak happens, because we're good for one every year. I'll let you know what he says when that time comes. Yeah, man, it's
I've gotten 2 in 7 months.
It's been no fun. It's been no fun. And I know that something will happen that will get spirits up a little bit. And I said to Scott, I was like, I can totally see what's going to happen. Like, we're going to go into the season super negative, and then they're going to turn out to be okay. And then they're going to look really good. And come mid-May, everyone's going to be all in. And I'm still going to be stomping my feet like a baby. And I'm going to be pissy about it and be like, yeah, but Bregman this, but Rafael Devers this. And people will be like, dude, shut up. That was months ago. They're winning now. You want to be upset. And then they'll level out and they'll win 78 games. And it'll just be another season of us being like, yeah. And now it's over. And now it's an off season where, God, I hope they get blah, blah, blah. And I don't want to get off the carousel. I don't want to keep doing it. And they're a rich enough organization where they don't have to be operating this way. And they're putting their fans through dumb shit. So especially while like other teams are good again, I don't think the Bruins are quite, returning to greatness right now, but Patriots sure are. The Celtics are looking good again. So if you want anybody to give a shit about you, you got to be a heavy hitter, and they're kind of seeming like the same old Red Sox of the 2020s. So hard to be excited. Don't blame anybody for not giving a shit right now, because it's hard. I don't blame anybody for being really mad. If you got thoughts, you got to get out. Our DMs are open. Give us your thoughts. We want to hear it. We want to know how you guys are feeling. Although I can probably guess.
Maybe next show. Maybe that's what we do.
Yeah. Because we're gonna need something to talk about. Because we're not going to do a Bichette special. We're not going to do a could they, will they, would they?
Yeah. Can we? You want to talk about? We
Bichette
can do
right
a little bit. Do you have a little optimism in us? Any? Can we pretend?
No. I mean,
Can we pretend?
I have. Can I? Yeah, I have enough optimism in my tank to say they will make one more desperation move that will make me go, oh. All right.
Okay. No, see, mine isn't so much. Yeah, well, okay, I was going a different direction. Here's what I would say. This is what I've learned from actively writing, podcasting, whatever, having such strong takes on every day of the off season. Mm-hmm. And then when you get to the season, sometimes you're like, oh, like, like the Patriots just aren't supposed to go 14-3 and then go to the divisional round and look pretty promising. Like that's just not in a logical person's range of outcomes. Here's the first thing I did to get myself to be like, wait a minute, am I going to be okay? I was thinking about third base specifically. I don't know what you do with second base. Let's say Christian Campbell just ends up being solid, which is just possible, right?
Sure. It's one of the possible outcomes, definitely. Yeah. Second
base as a whole, it's been a hole forever, right? Could you see Marcelo Meyer, who you know is going to be as good or better defensively at third than Bregman? Could he hit realistically next year 273 with 18 home runs?
Yeah.
I think that's a realistic range of outcomes in the minors. Not that that's a huge, super important thing, like this his minor stats, but he was a 280-ish hitter. So could he? And in the minor in AAA, I think he hit 300 and something. So could he hit 273? He was on pace last year. If you look at his at bats to hit 18 home runs, 273 with 18 home runs is what Bregman brought you, with great defense. Now, he was hurt, so that pace was more like 273 with like 25 home runs or something. But could Meyer realistically replace 2024 Alex Bregman, which is all we've ever, or 2025 Alex Bregman, which is all we've ever known? Probably. And then could you fill the second base hole? Probably. I'm not saying that this is a good thing or anything like that, but when we talk about what you just said about they could be good in mid-May and have like the team, the optimism behind it, in a way, all it would really take is Marcelo Meyer hitting 273 with 18 home runs.
I don't think it's impossible, but I substituting from within obviously comes with its own set of holes you can poke in the logic of like, well, yeah, you could have Bregman and Marcelo, sure, like you can do that forever, but Yeah, I don't think it's impossible. I think what sucks is demanding that caliber of play from those guys and looking at Marcelo Meyer and Roman Anthony and saying, hey guys, remember how we said it wasn't all on you? Oh, you're going to be so mad at me. So it's on you guys. If you can just listen, if you can just do what Bregman did last year, hit 273 with 18 home runs, you'll be replacing him, and with great defense. Can you do that? I know that you've never played more than 90 games in a season, but we're going to need you for, I don't know, 150. Is that okay? That's crazy. I mean, it's a crazy ask. So do I think it's possible? Yeah. Do I think it's fair to ask of those guys? No. But I also,
different question.
Would expect no less.
No, this is, to be clear, this is the state we're in right now. It's kind of similar to when Devers left. To me, it's, is there an outcome where I'm going to be okay? And to me, it's like, is it possible? Yes. Like, that's the only, like, I found a route where I look at the game in mid-May. When you're not thinking big picture, you're just thinking, like, how much has this team changed? On a nightly basis, if Meyer can produce similarly to Alex Bregman, pretty big ask, but, when you factor in the fact that he was super hot and then cold, and you know what? If there's one thing Meyer's almost guaranteed to do in that period, it's the 40-game injury period that we saw. That part. So that part of me is gonna nail. No, I think that's a little bit overblown, but yeah, I don't know. That is the first thing I did after like 24 hours of depression, where I said, well, if you really think about it, how did he hit? I looked at Bregman's stats, and my whole purpose was, could I imagine Meyer doing this? Because the first half of the year, it was like he was hitting 299 with like a lot of home runs, and it was like, well, I don't expect that. But when you look at the whole year on this, that second half drop off, he could probably replicate that.
Yeah. It's just I think the expectation for Bregman was like, well, he's closer to first half Bregman than he is second half Bregman. And if you can get a year of him, or I don't know, 5, where he's not injured, and his leadership capabilities, which obviously, you can't really put numbers on. That's just gone. And what it does to the clubhouse, sucks. You can't just erase that. You can't just like replicate. Well, what if we give them all the Men in Black flash thing and they all forget that their team operates like this? Does that make them feel better? Because that's probably the only option. So, yeah, I think he can replicate what Bregman did last year on the short.
So we're good. Yeah,
we're fine. Yeah, we're fine. Good. Anyway, we're fine.
I can't believe. What were we panicking about?
Nothing.
Can we do one thing you don't believe? You won't believe one more little thing of optimism that you're not want to get behind?
Yeah, I'm ready to fight you on one. Sure.
Okay, yeah, no, it's not going to be fighting me. It's going to be we're going to be fighting against a report, but it's a big enough report that it needs to be talked about on the show.
Okay.
So I know you don't. Yeah, I know how you're going to feel about this, but we got to do it, okay? And you're seeing it. I can see that you see it. Do you want to read it? I think you should read it.
Jen McCaffrey wrote on Monday, quote, though Bregman was Boston's main target, there were some in the organization who seemed to prefer Bichette all along. Part of Boston's hesitance to sign Bregman revolved around him turning 32 in March. Bichette, who turns 28 the same month, makes a long-term deal more palatable. The Athletic projects Bichette to land an 8-year, $212 million deal. Wow. Man, I mean, this might happen on opposite day.
Oh, dude, Joe, you had me in the first half. I think it's just something that's interesting that they're immediately going, well, this was kind of the plan all along. Just like how last year they were split between Bregman and Arenado, allegedly.
Yeah.
It's like, look, we also like Bichette. Hey, guys, we didn't whiff. We were just between two options, and we still have one of our plan, 1A, 1B situations. We have one on the table if we can just outbid the Phillies, who, by the way, there's been a lot of smoke there. I don't really know why they just all of a sudden in January are now willing to spend over $200 million on Bichette when that wasn't like initially allegedly part of the plan. But that is such a Dombrowski thing to just be like, wait, this guy's still. I guess we could just do that. Let me just. I know you're gonna have some thoughts on this. This is what I would say. This whole saga that we're talking about all show. It's, Raphael, the cause of all of this is that Devers was inept at defense. And so they felt when they brought in Bregman, the impact bat, that they had to move him to third, which I don't even necessarily disagree with, though. The whole time I was saying just have him at second and you have a star at second, third, whatever. The whole thing was Devers is so bad at defense, we have to replace that, and we're willing to piss off the most important person in the organization to get better defense at third. After losing both players, is Breslow's pivot going to be the move to sign arguably the worst defensive player in the league, a guy that was first percentile defensively at shortstop last year? That's going to be the solution to all of this, and how we that's going to be the way we get through. He talks about, hey, we're not worried about the past, we're just going to move forward, and his plan is going to be to sign one of the worst defensive players, maybe the worst defensive player in baseball, and then have him switch positions.
But here's what you can do. You can put Bichette where make him switch positions, okay? Put him at second.
Yeah.
Have him play there for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Then, when there's a good free agent class, find a guy who's good. Maybe his market just isn't lining up the way he thought it would. Give him a pillow deal to come in as a Band-Aid. And then once you get to spring training and you realize how bad Bichette is at second, you can kick him off, make him DH, put this new guy in at second. And then when Bichette is obviously like, what the fuck? I'm the second baseman. You're going to kick me off for a guy on a pillow deal? You trade him.
I don't think that would take 3 years. That'd be my only gripe.
I think it's a pretty good idea. No, I mean, my whole thing with the whole thing is that it's as simple as it's a bigger paycheck. You're talking about a bigger paycheck. They're not going to pay it. It's just that simple to me. It's that simple that they were sitting here nickel and diming Bregman, and you're telling me the backup plan is to go and pay north of $200 million? It's not going to happen. I can't picture the Red Sox giving out a $200 million deal to anyone.
No,
I just can't picture it right now. They're not operating like a team that does that. And I know they're desperate, and that desperation calls for those kinds of things. It would certainly change the perception of the team right now. It would be so wildly out of character. I'm going to give it a 0% chance.
Would you? I mean, the only thing is we know that Breslow hates anyone over 30. And Bregman is pretty notably younger.
Call him Craig DiCaprio.
Oh, Joseph. Here's my thing, though. He likes youth, but he also seems to value defense. You would think defense would win out over youth in that argument, logically, but maybe he's not a logical man. I certainly think we can't rule that out. Well, he did go to Harvard. People forget that. The other thing, would you be more mad if they signed Bichette for more money than they offered Bregman? Because I think I would.
Yeah, because I think it's a player that doesn't make as much sense.
And then you invested more in.
Yeah, it wouldn't make.
Yeah, I don't want to watch Bo Bichette throwing errors for the next 5 years or 6 years or whatever they would give him. I've been thinking about that as much as for a while I was thinking, hey, if everything goes bad, just think about all the home runs he's pimped over the monster.
Mm-hmm.
He's a 329 hitter with an 852 OPS at Fenway. Remember that. He's fun to watch offensively. He has one of the higher batting averages. And in one of the weirdest ways to do it, because he doesn't barrel a ton of balls, and he has very, very low bat speed, but it somehow works out.
Coming off an injury.
But the throwing errors, man. The throwing errors are... I can't watch that for the next few... you're going to have Bo Bichette... You're going to have Wilson Contreras chasing down Bo Bichette balls, and you're going to go, what the hell happened?
Yeah. No, I mean, here's the thing. It's... You don't have to worry about it because you're not going to see it. It's not going to happen. They're going to pivot in a weird way, and I think that, I mean, honestly, if you're looking for personnel upgrades, I think we're talking about the trade deadline. I think that's what we're talking about. And I mean, who knows? Who knows? Maybe this does make Craig better. Maybe he does assess himself and say, maybe I talk like an asshole, and that's why people don't want to talk to me. And maybe he reevaluates, and come trade deadline time, he's a brand new guy. He's wearing sunglasses inside or something, you know?
He's not going to have
Get
players
Craig
left.
smoking cigarettes. That's what I need. I need
Ooh.
Craig smoking some cigarettes, and it'll just change him a little. I just need him to chill. Just chill a little bit. And then I think the Red Sox genuinely become a better team if Craig's just
I
like
think
an
you're onto
easier guy.
something.
Yeah.
I think you're onto something. I don't think it's about being more chill, though. I think you're right about getting him addicted to cigarettes. I think that's
Yes.
obviously the start of the plan.
Obviously, yeah.
I would say get him hooked on cigs, and then like 3 days before the trade deadline, do not allow him to consume any form of nicotine, so that he's just irritable, angry, and just willing to. He doesn't even care, and that's where I think he'll make a move that's aggressive enough to make sense.
Can we do? It's like those. You ever read those stories about like the wives who like slowly poison their husbands over time?
I know. The only thing I hear about is when is dads who put steroids in their kids' cereal.
Oh, I've never heard that. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. I'm going to write that one down. That's a really good idea.
You got to start thinking about that. You're almost going. He's got to be entering coach pitch pretty soon, right? A couple years, maybe.
He's in coach pitch. Yeah, I was the coach. I pitched.
Oh,
yeah. It explains all the bruises on his hands. I tossed inside a little more than I wanted to. We're working on it. Listen, these things are, I'm growing.
You both got to get better. Yeah, it takes me. I had to pummel my child with a baseball to learn not to throw inside.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to learn the hard way, and the hard way is, I tell him every time I hit him, I say, this hurts me just as much as it hurts you.
Yeah, and I'm learning from this, by the way. So I know that you're crying and that hurts a lot, but know that I'm learning from this.
I'm yelling from
my personal development.
This, by the way, I'm learning from this. What was I fucking saying?
Something stupid.
I was some joke. I don't know. But no, well, I mean, I don't know. I think what I was getting at is that like we can poison Craig with nicotine, so like he doesn't know, and then cut it off at the trade deadline and let him do his thing, whatever. But maybe this does change him. Maybe he actually does go in with some more urgency. You can't do anything now.
Nope.
You can't do anything now. You could overpay for Bo Bichette and go do something stupid. Like you could do that reactionarily. Yeah. But that's not going to actually do what you needed to. But come the middle of the season, if he fumbled this bad and the team still looks good, maybe he does put it together and make some meaningful acquisitions. But at the moment, I'm going to go ahead and say, don't expect meaningful acquisitions in the next month. Expect that this is the roster, more or less. I don't have any other thoughts to empty out of my brain. This is all I'm thinking about. Do you have anything that you want to get out of yours? Because otherwise I want to call it quits and get out of here before my blood pressure exceeds what my body can hold.
I would just recap by saying that the thing that's most frustrating to me is I've talked at length about how you started to add core players. At least that was the perception. It felt like, you were supposed to be pairing the young kids with a core, and you felt like you identified Crochet as an option, Bregman as an option, Devers as an option. And the idea, you lost Devers going into this offseason, but the idea was, to me, instead of trading for a bunch of 34 and 36-year-olds and losing Bregman, I thought it was going to be about adding core pieces where you say, okay, well, for the next 5 years, you have Roman and Marcelo Meyer and maybe Christian Campbell, but you also have added, now we really have Bregman long-term, and we've added Pete Alonso long-term, and we know this is the group that we're going into battle with. And now it just feels like we are just continuously kicking the can down the road, because next year we're now looking at a bad free agent class, and you're going to lose Sonny Gray, and you don't have Bregman anymore, and you're likely not going to fill that with another core bat. So you're now looking for another core bat in free agency. It's like, when are you going to just, like, you made the Roman Anthony extension move and the Christian Campbell extension move and the Garrett Crochet extension, and you at least brought in, you extended Chapman. It looked like you're building a roster that's sustainable, and now that feels like every offseason we're going to be playing, let's rebuild a full team around like two players.
The team is not in a position to get a Band-Aid or two. There's no
core. It's all Band-Aids. It's a team of Band-Aids.
A 1 year deal here or there is not gonna do what you need to do. You need core pieces. You need a strong, solid core piece, a veteran piece to add around these guys. You had it, but past is the past. You can't live there. So follow us on the socials. If you want to live in the present and in the future at ITM_pod, you can follow us. You can follow me at Joey Copponi. You can follow him at Scott Neville 46, just like, whatever. And the YouTube, subscribe on the YouTube. That's where you really want to find us. That's where we're at our best, is when you can see our pretty little faces. So please go do that. We will talk to you guys next week when maybe something has fucking happened and we can be in a different mood. DMs are open. Let us know how you're feeling. And we will see you next week. For Scott Neville, I'm Joey Copponi. Go Sox, kid.